Good morning, good morning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niheh b'dvorei.
Amen.
Good morning, parrots. Good morning. Good morning, Rafal. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Parrots, how you feeling? Anyway, we're dedicating our shir today for parrots.
Very sore, very sore.
Yeah. Parrots, Ben.
It's V. Ben Zlatatsivia.
Parrots, Ben Zlatatsivia should be gesund. And the Heure Malien to be gesund. Ora mache vorem shasa gidem and should feel good. Parrots has an unbelievable schus being the one that's running base Menachem Mendel, and all the Torah that we're learning is in the schus of parrots. Okay, so let's start. I'd like to three Sheilos that today the three Sheilos that I picked to discuss is directly connected to the Parsha. So the first question I mentioned Bekitza in passing 2 months ago. What happened was it was a Kol Yom Rishon, and someone came in at the koilo, and then he said that he was actually on the way back or the way to a clinic, and he had a shaila. So unfortunately, his wife had a miscarriage. She was 3 months pregnant at a miscarriage, and they went to a clinic to do a DNC. So basically, what it is it's a sort of a vacuum cleaner where they flush out everything that's there. Everything that's there gets flushed out. Okay, so can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So basically, the procedure is quite simple. They schedule a DNC. The woman comes in. Instead of having the miscarriage, first of all, sometimes there's lingering things and there could be problems. It could go on and on and on and on. So just they schedule a thing. They take you sort of like a vacuum cleaner. Think of it as a vacuum cleaner. They vacuum everything out, and then the woman is clean. Yeah, we had a miracle once with this, when my wife thought that the doctor said that she had a miscarriage. This was early on, many years ago. And we scheduled for a DNC. It was right before Shabbos. And we lived in the Bronx. So she was going in for the procedure. So I left her with money to take a taxi home. And, there's no emergency now for me. So I walked home. It was a big snow. It took quite a while to get home. And by the time I got home, my wife was home with a taxi with a big smile. She said they were about to do the DNC, and they checked one more time, and the baby was good. Baruch Hashem. This baby is now not a baby. She's 16 years old, and Baruch Hashem. Anyway. Chazdei Hashem. For every baby that's born, and this is that special tefillah that the Kohen Gadol did as he went out of the Acharei-Kedoshim, that the Yiddish woman should never chas v'shalom experience the pain of a miscarriage, and a family should never know of such pain. But that happens, and then there is this procedure, DNC. So the simple question is, when does she go to the mikveh? Because she can make a hefsek tada then. Even if we're talking about an Ashkenazi who keeps 5 days and 7, but that's not enough. That's not enough. And this could be a very easy mistake to make. A woman, she's has to be at least 40 days pregnant. It means at least 40 days from the last mikveh. If it's past that point, so the baby might have been planted the day of the mikveh night, and now it's after 40 days. So now she can't just go to the mikveh after 5 and 7 days. So it's this is like a classic question. This is this week's Parsha. So let's read the psukim. To Rabbi for sending out the source sheet. Look at the top of the page, the first Sheilos. V'yidaber Hashem al Moshe Leimer, Daber Bnei Yisrael Leimer, Isha kisazriya v'yolda zocher, a woman that will take in a plant, a seed. A seed will be planted in her womb, and she will later give birth to a zocher. V'tama shivas yamim kimei nidas devoisa titma, and she will be Tomei for 7. And then she has 33 clean days. It doesn't matter how much she bleeds, because I'll say what the Tesha B'Mei Torah means, that she is Tahora. She could sleep with her husband. Doesn't matter that it's the blood. And we pass like Rav in the Gemara, in Daf Lamed Hey, Lamed Vav Lamed Zayin, and Nida, that Mayan Echadu, Atoira Timata, Atoira Tirata, it's the same blood. She's bleeding and bleeding and bleeding, as it is the derech after a woman has a baby. She doesn't usually go clean after 7 days. It's many, 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 many more days, but it doesn't matter. She's clean now. She's clean. Vim Nekeva Tailad, and if she has a baby girl, V'tama Shvuayim Kinidasa, she's Tame for 2 weeks. V'shishim Yem V'sheshis Yamim Tesha Ben Torah, then say 66 days to have for the Dmei Tahora. So the Din Torah is, if she has a boy, she gets 7 unclean days and then 33 clean. And the girl, everything is double. 2 weeks unclean and 66 days clean. So why don't we keep the Din Torah? Most of us today don't keep it. I mean, it'd be hard pressed to find someone that keeps the Din Torah the way it is. Even though the Rambam says in Perek Yudalach Hilchos Surei Bira that the Minig Ashkenaz and Tzorfas, that the Jews in Germany and the Jews in France, he heard that they do keep the Dam Toyar, but as the Ashkenaz poskim point out, that we don't keep Dam Toyar. Okay. And this little point will be important later. Is it Minhag Ashkenazim? How did it change and when did it change? Anyway, bottom line is no one keeps Yimei Toyar. Why? Because, especially if you're Ashkenazi, so you say it every morning. The Gemara says, look at the next paragraph. That even if she sees one drop of blood as big as a seed of a mustard, which is tiny, she will sit Shivanakim. In other words, the Torah law is not that way. The Torah, as we have in this week's Parsha, there's Yimei Nida and Yimei Zivus. The woman's life, a Jewish woman, always is in the cycle of 7-11, 7-11, 7-11. In the days of 7, which is the Eis Nidasa, as the Torah says, then she doesn't have to wait Shivanakim. She can bleed 6 days. The 7th day, when she goes to mikvah, it's not a problem. But if it's in the 11 days, then she has to have Shivanakim, 7 clean days. And even then, only if she sees 3 days consecutively. But the Bnei Yisrael said that's confusing. The days of Nidas, the days of Ziziv, she sees 3 days and what's a Ben Hashmoshe. So they made even one drop of blood, you have to have Shivas Nakim. And that universal minig was accepted and recorded in the Gemara. And it seems like that there's no such thing as not keeping this minig. This became the Halacha. Okay. So the Shonim argue, does this takona that Bnei Yisrael accepted upon themselves, and the Gemara applauds this takona. The Gemara thinks it was a good. Some say no, that's nothing to do. Some say yes. In Beit Tahora could be this equal amount of mistakes between. And what if she has a miscarriage? So she has to have a chumrah. She has to keep 2 weeks like an akeva, but she only gets 33 clean days. And what if she's confused and she thinks she knows if it's a zocher or an akeva? And there's so many confusions that can be. So this, just like the Bnei Yisrael Machmed, they don't care if it's 7-11, 7-11. They don't care it's Yimei Nidus, Yimei Zivus. Tipas Dam Kachadl, you see Shivanik, you sit Shivanikim. The same thing. I don't care yet the Mei Toyer, not the Mei Toyer. That's part of the takona of Bnei Yisrael. And as I said, the Rambam says that he heard that in Ashkenaz and Tzorfas they're Mekel. But he's machmer. Let's look in the Shulchan Aruch. Next paragraph. Pasuk b'Shulchan Aruch here. De'esim and Kuf Tzadik Dalet Sif Aleph Beis Gimel. A woman has a baby. I feel a little dam Tamei Kenida. If she has a baby, even if she didn't see blood, she becomes Tamei. Like a nida, ben yolda chai, ben yolda meis, I feel a nefel, it's a miscarriage. Kama eim yemei tumasa. Achshav bezman hazeh kol yoldas chshuvas yoldas bezoy. Today, every time she has a baby, it's considered as if it was the day of Ziva. And because we don't say there's a difference with 7-11, 7-11. There's no 7, no 11. There's nothing. She has to have Shiva Nakim. Shiva Nakim, she has to count Shiva Nakim. So the bottom line is, she has to have 7 days clean because of the light of Shiva Nakim, Ziva, and 7 because of the Ziva. They're not separate days, but just that there is 2 things that she has to look out for. But you led this Nakeva and she had a baby girl. You led the Shraim Leleda. She has to have 2 weeks before she can go to the mikveh because of the girl, because she has to wait 2 weeks. And Zayin Akim Le Ziva. Okay. So the 2 weeks doesn't have to be Nakim, but the 7 have to be Nakim. You may lay the Shem Zayin Lazachav Yidal Nakim. If she was clean, Oilam Lasvida Zivasa. If she didn't see, so there's not 2 separate things. She has to wait 14 days plus 7 days, not separate. It's with the bottom line is, if the 14 days were clean, or the last 7 of the 14 days is clean, it's good. But even if she finished already her Shiva Nakim, but it doesn't matter. Even if she finished her Shiva Nakim, we don't care, because she can't go to the mikveh before the 2 weeks are up. Until after 15 days are 14 days are done, and she goes into the Leil Tezvav. If she tabled before the Leil to the Tefillah is not worth anything. And then as long as she already had 7 for Zacha, 14 days for Nakeva, she's good. And the night afterwards, she could go to the mikveh. If she afterwards saw even 1 drop of blood, Tameya, because it starts all over again. Because the woman that has a miscarriage within 40 days, that there isn't the tumas leida, but whatever, there's regular nidus. It's impossible that that part of the body opens up and there's no dam. That's the way we pass in the Gemara. After 7 days, she's clean. But if she had a miscarriage, it was already after 40 days. So I don't know if it was a Zocher Nekeva. And therefore, and therefore, she went to mikveh before 14 full days, and she went into the night of 15. It was not. The tefillah is not a tefillah. And the Gemara is a long sugya about how you could tell if the fetus is male or female, and very, very, very long sugya. And all the Rishonim say we are not baki. We're not bucky. Now, it happens to be today you could do a simple sonogram or a blood test to know if it was male and female. I would think that since the Chazal didn't talk about a blood test or a sonogram, and all the Rishonim Pe'echad agree that we are not bucky with telling what's a male and what's a female. So a person can't say, well, the blood test is 99.99 scientific. He did 7 or 8 sonograms, and he knows it's male. But we don't know it's male or female. That's not, sonogram was not one of the simonim Chazal gave. Blood test is not one of the simonim Chazal gave. And maybe when Mashiach will come and they'll reconvene the Bezdin HaGodel, as of now, a blood test and a sonogram is not one of the simonim. Ain't on a bekim. So anytime a woman has a miscarriage, we know it's Zachar Nekeva. Therefore, she can't go to the mikveh until 14 full days. Even though she did today a hefsek taida, you don't. There's no such thing as 7 days, 7, 5. You have to have 14 full days. 14 full days, and then she goes to the mikveh afterwards. So it's a very important thing. People can make a mistake on this. The Torah Shlomim, which is one of the very important poskim here in Yeridea, So the Torah Shlomim has a beautiful Torah that the Gemara, the Tosfos ask a question, Laf Lamadal and Kedushin. It said, Laman Yir B'Yamechem, you have to learn Torah, Laman Yir B'Yamechem Mevenechem. They should live a long life. So the Gemara says, Inchi Boyechai, Noshi Loi Boyechai, Gavri Boyechai, Noshi Loi Boyechai. Men need to live and women don't need to live. If the Torah gives you a long life, so why did the Torah say only men have to learn Torah? So the woman should also have to learn Torah. That's the thing that gives you a long life. The Gemara says you have to read the pasuk differently. But Tosfos, I don't understand. So many pasukim that say the Torah is the life of a Yid. So if the Torah gives you life, why did the Eibusher say women are potter from Talmud Torah? Don't the women need to live? Women don't need to live. So zok the Torah Shlomim like this. We paskin that 40 days after the mikveh night, that's it. The baby is called uber, and if there's a miscarriage after 40 days, so then you have to wait for a zachar and a keva. We don't know what zachar and a keva is. You have to wait a minimum of 14 days before you go to the mikveh. And anyway, today we don't do Yimei Toyar anyway. Okay. But as a machlokes, the Arishonim and paskin like Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says depends. A boy is 40 days. The tzidus of Lad, they announce Bas Pliny and so on. It's only by a boy. It's only by a boy. Tosfos says it's only by a boy. You put together the 33 days and you put together 33 days and the 7 days. You have 40 days. What's the 40 days by a boy? Because it takes 40 days for the yitzid of a boy. By a girl, it's 80 days. That's why you have 14 plus 66. So it takes So I'm a little bit rephrasing what the Torah Shlomim says. The boy is a weak machine. Think about it. They spent only 40 days in building the machine. A girl, they spend 80 days building the machine. So a girl is good to go. She's good to go. Even if she's not going to plug in, keep on being serviced. It's like you have a good machine. It was built to last. It was built to last. But then you got a Chinese machine. It was built for it to be serviced every week. You have to service it all the time. You have to service it. Because that's the machine. It'll last for years. You don't have to service it. I have a shvacha machine. Every 2 weeks, you got to call the service guy to come service the machine. The woman, her machine was built in 80 days. I got the machine. So if she doesn't plug in every day and learn Torah, she'll live also. But the man, it's a shvacha machine. So he needs to have limudat Torah. I think it's a brilliant. We don't pass like Rabbi Shmuel, but Ela Ve'ela Divrei L'Kim Chayim, and Rabbi Shmuel holds that there's a difference. A boy is created in 40 days and a girl in 80 days. And Apich Chassidus is also Yatziva Milza. It makes sense because women have a deeper Shoydish in Kedusha. So a man, if he's not going to sit and learn every day Torah, he'll lose touch, Rahman al-Itzlan. And he'll be disconnected from Kedusha. And when you dovek, you plugged in, you live. If Chastrom unplugged, it can't live. Machine can't work if you don't plug him in. If you plug in, the electricity runs and it works. You can't have it unplugged. But the women, to the Shaila is that a woman that has this procedure, even though she can make hefsek taita that day, and even if she knows from the sonogram that it was male, or from blood test that it was confirmed that it's a male, it doesn't matter. You have to wait 14 full days. There's no such thing as Shiva Nakim. You need to have 14 full days, and at least the last 7 days have to be Nakim, and then she can go to the mikveh. While we're at it, this little nakuda here that's interesting, that's connected to last week. Last week we spoke about the koyach of a minig, and the machloikes rishonim and the way we paskin, if a minig is a neder or a minig is al titash Torah simecha. The difference is if you can make a Toras Nedarim and Shulchan and Semeresh Dalet paskins l'kula, like the Rosh, that you could make a Toras Nedarim, and if it's a mistake, Platazo, you tell the person that since you didn't accept it upon yourself as a gedev, as a yog, it's just a mistake. You tell him it's a mistake. We spoke about this, about listening to music in the Sfira, and Baruch Hashem, I was very happy to see this week there was a lot of talk about this, about Sfira. This year, people are in isolation. Could they listen to music or not? And I saw a lot of talk. Yeah, but if a chasram is dangerous, if a person's all these are the obvious. But I think that we came up with a shach that no one found, to hang up our hat to be makel somewhat. I don't think an average person should be makel in the average circumstances. There's Baruch Hashem, there's Sweden music. The minig is the minig in America and Klal Yisrael have the minig not to listen to music that is recorded. What's the difference? The lamda sahin, the lamda saher. But there is what to hang your hat on. But we found a very good shach, the shach in Samaresh Yudalad and Yerdea, who says that even those that have a minig that they fast all said is tshuva, but they could eat by a bris. So the machlok is not to be with the shach. Why? Shach says, no, it says a one-time thing. One-time thing is gefährlich. So he also here, you could be maybe make a one-time thing. But the shach is even more powerful. Shach says that was built into the original minig. Those people that accept the minig, they can fast the sedis and make tshuva, never entertained the thought that they're going to miss a bris. That wasn't part of the plan. That wasn't part of the plan. So I said the same thing here. When the audio came out and people were not listening to audio, even though it's not live music in the days of Sfira, but they didn't think about Uncle Moshe. They shouldn't let the kids watch Uncle Moshe. I mean, the 5 minutes you get to drink coffee. The few minutes you get to do what you need to do is the chus of Uncle Moshe. And anyway, these kids are not sitting in front of an Uncle Moshe video more than 4.5 minutes. It's not that entertaining. So the reason I'm saying it is if it's the so-called kosher videos, but they're not be'emes kosher, so if the osir the whole year, kosher can it's chal the minig that it's osir in the days of Sfira. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm repeating what our maskana from last week. I just say I was really nice. I was nice to see that there was a lot of banter about it and a lot of piskei dinim, and I think it's obvious if a person's chas v'sholem prone to be depressed or he's taka alone, that there's room to be makel. But I think we came up with a really good shach to hang our hat on when you need to be makel, which is like you go back to the original minig and you try to think, was this built into the original minig? Like, yeah, they're going to fast the sedis and make tshuva, but not to come to it is. That wasn't part of the original minig. Okay. So since we already touched on what's the aside of a minig, just the interesting thing is because there is a minig, Adayoim, I think Yerushalmi, a lot of, I'm not sure, but I think in Yerushalmi, it's a strong minig in Yerushalmi, at least by many Yerushalmi families, and I'd like to find out, actually. But there is a minig, there used to be a very prevalent minig, and today it's not so strong anymore, but there used to be a minig that after you have a boy, 40 days no sleeping with the wife, the prisha, and for a girl, 80 days. This tweaking the some 40, because each minig has a little bit of but basically 40 or 80 days. 80 days, it's a long time. And what's if she has a miscarriage? Could happen, they try to have a baby and a miscarriage, and then another miscarriage. You can have it happen 2-3 times till she managed to have a baby. So between each miscarriage, you have to wait 3 months. A person go mishuga. Could be with his wife maybe three nights in a year. So there is such a minig. There is such a minig. So what if a person wants to climb out of this minig? He's not interested in keeping his minig. So I have to say that his father and his Zayda kept it, and his Baba and his Elta Baba and his wife's Baba and Elta Baba kept it, but he doesn't want to keep it. It's very hard. It's very hard. What do you do? So look at the next paragraph. I put it in brackets here. Kosav Rambam. Rambam writes, that a woman that has a zocher cannot be with her husband until after 40 days. Even though she didn't see blood. She didn't see any blood. She went to the mikveh. Everything is good. No. They're not with the wife for 40 days or 80 days. They learned it from the tzdukim. That this is from the tzdukim and chas v'shalom to keep it. Chas v'shalom to keep it. Because basically the tzdukim says that's 33 or 66 days. Teishev b'dmei tahara. Chazal say Teishev b'dmei tahara means that she's allowed to be with her husband. Elamai Teishev b'dmei tahara. That's Teishev b'dmei tahara. But kol kodesh lo tiga means that she went to the mikveh, but she's like a tfulas yom aruch and she can't touch kodesh. But she's allowed to sleep with her husband. And the tzdukim said no. Teishev b'dmei tahara means that she has to sit and not be with her husband. That's the way the Tzdukim read not the way Chazal read the Pasuk. So this minhag is based on the Tzdukim. This can't be a minhag. You have to force them to not keep this minhag. That's the shita of the Rambam. But later Poskim said, no, it's not so simple. They found there's probably about a dozen reasons that the big Poskim found. The Marik said, for example, no, the reason for the minhag is for 33 or 66 days, even though she's bleeding. And they were scared that there'll be a whole shvachkeit in the whole isur, in the whole thing of nidus. Yeah, you see, right after she had a baby, she could be with her husband without going to the mikveh. So therefore, they decided to make a chumrah altogether, as yogla Torah. As you'll see soon, I'll get back to this dafka reason. Another dozen reasons, many reasons why maybe, but all of them are very shvacha reasons. All of them are very shvacha reasons. The Levush says because in that time a woman is very shvach, and she might not realize that a little bit of blood came out. And blood is always coming out after she had a baby. But the shaila is, but why shouldn't she realize? And what's the big deal? She didn't realize. So, anyway, but the Rama writes, as long as she was clean for 7 days, and she's not going to go to the mikveh until after 7 days for a zoch and 14 days for nekeva, muteres l'bayla. So, bottom line is today the oilam is mekel. But what happens to someone his family's machmer? As I said, I'm not sure, but I think Yerushalmi have a thing that they're machmer. So maybe Shmuel can find out for us.
It's hard for me to...
Mm-hmm. So like this. There is Lepoil, even though the Rama writes that minhag Ashkenaz is to not be with the woman for 40 days or 80 days, depending on Zoch Nakeva. We don't keep it. Why don't we keep it? So because there was a lot of Gdolei Yisrael that broke this minhag. The shaila is, how did they do it? So the Placey, which is Rabbi Yonis Knife, is a beautiful Moed de Kisvara. He says like this. He says, remember that Rambam said that he heard in Ashkenaz that they kept the 33 and 66 days. That means even though the woman was bleeding, she was still bleeding. They would be with their husband. But the emes is, Reb Zayda said, so they said, nah, that minhag doesn't apply to the 33 and 66 days. But most Goinim hold it does apply. So the Rabboni Ashkenaz decided to make a stop on this. But how are you going to stop it? The women know, the Baba and the Elta Baba. What are you going to tell me? Well, who are you? Who? Rabbi Ostab is going to tell me? What, Rabbi? Who's going to tell me? Rabbi Brown is going to tell me? My mother. And my Elta Baba. My Baba was Nish Geven Ki Yirish Shemayim. And my Kala teacher told me. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And then you have to... And now you have to ask the women if they saw blood, they should bring it to see if it's really red or not red. What do you mean? I'm going to bring in these 33 days? I learned with the Kala teacher. What are you talking about? I'm married for 22 years now. I'm married for 32 years. I'm gonna talk to my Baba about it. Forget about what Rabbi Broin says. Forget what Rabbi's Rabbi Shvei Olav Shalom. So Hamal Lichtig Gan Eden was so patient. He always answered Sheilos. It was. So it's a woman's going to tell a woman such a thing. The woman doesn't want to listen. Oh, so they said, not allowed to sleep with your husband for the 40 days or the 80 days. Simple. Awesome. Not a whole thing. You bring the blood. I'll tell you this. Awesome. Their plan was, when things cool down a little bit, then they'll announce, say, okay, now it's really mutter to sleep with your husband. But if you see blood, you have to bring it to the Rav. If you have a shmata, we'll tell you if it's red, if it's not red, if it's dama, not nan, if you have to go mikveh, not have to go mikveh, but you have to go to the mikveh. The first part of the plan were good. The woman, it's also up, a new isur, a minhag, it's up. Okay. It was not nuanced. It's not that you have to bring and ask a shaila. Also to sleep with your husband 40 days or 80 days. Oh, isur, a new isur. It caught fire. The second part of the plan never caught fire. They never got around to the other part to say, no, really, what we meant is that it's mutter. And lama, you have to make sure that you do a bedikah and it's clean. And if the bedikah comes out not so clean, you have to bring it to Rav, and I'll tell you if it's red or not red. And then after it's clean, you can go to the mikveh. That second part of the plan never worked. But says the crazy place. He says that the Rabbi Yochanan, he says that therefore Lepoil we should be makel. Look at the end of the paragraph. He says befrat bedoret halolush yesh lochash lakama averes pritzes vehidur avere vekush ladas vekeret rechman al-Islan velchein omad agon chacham tzvi behamburg beacher beprag vanik poi keila kedisha metz ubital no aminik. He said that, and this is already 300 years ago. He said that if you're going to keep this minig, you're Rahman al-Islan, you're going to end up with bad. This is a chumrah that's going to bring unbelievable bad things out of it. There's going to be terrible things out of this. Could you imagine a person can't be with his wife for 3 months? 3 months? Keri, kushi, ladas. Rahman al-Islan, what could happen? Mitzadzer, levatola, other things. Guys, climbing up a straight wall. Some of you already, Baruch Hashem, maybe in the 40s, in the 50s, the 60s, so maybe the Tichas Hadomim already lessened. But think about when you were 22 years old. Think about when you were 25 years old. 3 months? I mean, 3 months? That's crazy. He can't wait. It's a very big. So why did the Rabbi Yochanan need to have a whole pilpul? Originally, the minig was not really a minig. So I think the simplest reason, if the minig was a minig, so you tell me, but now we're not going to keep the minig because it'll be a michshel. But L'Poel Klal Yisrael accepted it as a minig. At least you need to do a Torah Nadorim. That was the brilliance of Rabbi Yochanan to say, no, this was built into minig begin with. The minig was to only do it for 20 years until the oilam will get the memo, and then they will get it. But there's not a minig. Versteht sich, he can go to the mikveh in the 40 and the 80 days. They just wanted to stop people because they were not going to the mikveh and they were still keeping the kula of the Torah, the way it's din Torah, Teishav al Demei Tahara. They didn't go. They went to the mikveh, and then they saw more blood, and they didn't go to the mikveh afterwards because 33 days were free of charge. 66 days was free of charge. They wanted to stop that, but that's it. That's why you want to say the Chatchila was not a minig, but people didn't realize atos. So I'm going to tell you that it's a tos. If it's a tos, you don't need to have any atoras nadorim. If you make a minig as a yogla Torah, now you want to stop it, you have to make atoras nadorim. But if you kept something because you thought it's also, but really it's mutter, the din is I'm allowed to tell you it's mutter. And that's what Rabbi Yochanan did. But the Noid Yehuda, L'Kol HaMakayim she's asked for L'Hatalam, the Rabbonim should get together and be mat at this itter. Ha'inachshav be'einay l'mitzvah. Because in Ashkenaz, through keeping this minig, people are coming to big michshel. He can't be with his wife for 3 months, but the violet, there's terrible things that are happening. The dog and achli nachlin is bapayu. The Gemara said, talking over there about the place where they were taking challah from rice. Challah is not from the chameshes minei dogan. So what are you taking challah? But they were amaratzim. Rashi says depends. So you're not allowed to be makel in front of amaratzim in a minig that they have. You have to be very careful. You're going to start being makel, the whole Torah has become a joke to them. But Rashi said it depends. If most of the doughs they make there is from grain, you have to tell them that you don't take challah from rice. Why? Because they're going to make a mistake. They're going to say, what's the difference? We're going to take from the rice part, but the dogan didn't come potter from that. And so therefore it'll be a big takola. So they have to tell them something. Same thing here. You're going to keep this minig of not being with the wife for 3 months. And the violent bad things are going to come out of it. So you have to stop that minig. I totally don't understand this dimion. Maybe he meant a general hashkafa thing to bring from that Gemara. That Gemara was talking about something else entirely. That talk was makom sheina b'nei Torah to be makel in front of them, but not about breaking. And there was anyway. The bottom line is, it seems pretty clear that you have to make a Torah Nadorim. So, but the place he holds, you don't have to make a Torah Nadorim. The minig chatchila was built into the minig that it's not a minig. So therefore, according to Taka, to the place, a person that even if his family had this minig and now he wants to stop, he could stop. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you'd have to make a Torah Nadorim. You'd have to make a Torah Nadorim. Okay. Interesting thing. It bothers me every year when we get to this Parsha Tazriya Mitzorah. the whole Parsha is Tazria. The name is Tazria, means when you have a baby. But besides the first 6 psukim, the whole thing is about the Metzoida. The next Parsha is about Metzoida. The name is Metzoida. But besides the Taharas Metzoida and also the story of Tzaras Batim, that's the Parsha that talks about the Tumah of a Nida and a Zava and a Zav and a Zava and all the halachas of Tazria is in Metzoida, and all the halachas of Metzoida is in Tazria. This Tazria Metzoida. All the halachas of Tazria is in Parshas Metzoida, and all the halachas of Metzoida is in Parshas Tazria. So I'm leaving the question to you. I'm just going to tell you, since my job is to say drush a little bit, so I'll give you a little drush that came up in my mind. But if you have a better teretz, you can let me know. The tachlis of everything is there's a certain tachlis in everything. There is Yerida. The Yerida, every Yerida Yid has, the main thing is the Aliyah, not the Yerida Chas v'Shalom. The Yerida is not the Iker. The Iker is the Aliyah that will come through that. The Iker is not that the Metzoida should Chas v'Shalom be bothered. The Iker is that he does tshuva, and then when he comes out, he turns the nega into oinig. Faket. The same thing when a woman, Rahman al-Atzlan, has pain with having a baby, v'chulu, and the things that are connected to Chava, that's not the Iker. The Iker is that you have a baby and you have children, you have nachas, bonim b'nei bonim, oiskem b'toides, and the first mitzvah in Torah, piri v'riba, the Alter Rebbe says the first mitzvah in Torah is ein yid macht ha-zweite yid, which is a very important thing. The Iker is not your biological children. The Iker is the other yid that you influence, limud Torah. When you set up the jitsu, when you send out emails, and you share davar Torah with another yid, and you influence another yid, that's your real children. Ein yid macht noch hayid. When you call up someone to find out how they're feeling, ein yid macht noch hayid. That's the ikar. Those are your real children. Your real children is not the biological children. Your real children is the yid that you share Torah with the yid that you're concerned about. Ein yid macht noch hayid. So, in Parshas, the true Metzoida talks all the halachas of Tumas Nida. But in Tazria is about the Mazel Tov when she had the baby. And it's maybe one pasuk. But all that Tuma was Yerida Tzorech Aliyah, that afterwards she'll have a baby boy and a baby girl, and that Machna Ashidach, and met Machna Bris, and met Machna Pidyan Ben. So that's why the Tazria is taka 5 psukim, 6 psukim, but that's the tachlis of a whole Tazria, to have a Yiddish family. What's the whole tachlis of a husband and a wife coming together and having a zera, planting a seed, is for what? Is in order to have Yiddish nachas. And the Metzoida, what's the tachlis of Metzoida? All the tachlis is that he meets the kohen, and the kohen is metayed him, and the nega turns into oinig, and also and tumas batim is something very unusual. It's very unusual because it's a big dag in kedusha, and that's where you get very rich from it. So that also ends up in Parshas Metzoida. So Parshas Tazria is talking about the positive of the Tazria. You had a baby. Parshas Metzoida is talking about the positive of the Metzoida. Okay, if you have a better teretz, let me know. Okay. Next question. This is straight out of Varevno. I just couldn't hold myself back from presenting the Sheilos. It's not a Sheilos that someone asked me. I'm not going to pretend or anything. Sounds like an off-the-wall kasha. Almost sounds like he had the teretz before the kasha, but it's just too good to miss. So he said that when there was the swine virus, the swine flu, Gemara sagt doch in Tainus that when there's a what's it called? There is a pandemic by swines that a person have to fast. Why? Because the intestines of a person is like the chazdoim l'chazeirim. Anyway, Taf Chafalef in Tainus we learned it. Anyway, there was that the swine, what was called the swine flu, and there were 2 doctors in a hospital. One was a Kohen and one was a Yisrael. And he says that they asked Rav Eliashiv this question: who should be first to deal? Who should be first to put himself into danger to deal with the patients that have this virus? Versteht, this would have the same relevance today with COVID-19. If there's 2 doctors in the hospital, Yisrael and a Kohen, And now they're separating the hospitals, the COVID and the non-COVID patients. So say they're two from Yidden, and they could choose who's going to be the COVID and the non-COVID. Should you say that the Yisrael should yield to the Kohen? That the Yisrael should yield to the Kohen, like the Gemara says in Hoidis, that Yud Gimel Amud Beis, that the Kohen li Yisrael atzilo lach yosei. So the Yisrael should yield to the Kohen and say, you can go work with the non-COVID patients, and I'll work with the COVID patients, or not. So Zokter, that this question was asked by Rav Elyashiv, again, not about COVID-19, but about swine flu. But obviously the answer is going to be the same thing. Al-Asadi pulled out of the thing, the Meshech Chochmah. Whatever, I'm not going to go schlepping now the Meshech Chochmah, but I'll tell you exactly, I have the Meshech Chochmah right here, but I also printed it out in the thing, so you could read it if you would like, read it together with me. It's just a beautiful shtickle Meshech Chochmah. In general, the Meshech Chochmah is very, very geschmack. There's some like a very vada metoidus. I guess in Dvinsk, even if you were the Rav of the Mesnagdim, it was already, he sounds half a chassid, even though L'choyda, the Simcha was the Rav. I told you, I was an old man in the Bronx, very old man. And he was a Russian. I used to make a seder for the Russians. I used to a little bit do meftzayim with them. So I said, where are you from? He said, Dvinsk. I said, oh, you ever heard of the Rogachover? Sure. He said, Remeir Simche gewinnt der Rav von the Misnagdim und der Rogachover gewinnt der Rav von the Chassidim. Anyway, but this is the word from the Ur Sameach and the Meshech Chochmah. He says like this: Adam ki ber besodos, he says a packet of beheres voye ber besod lo neget tzaras vuvel aaron hakoin o yalachav mebona vakoin. Inin an agoyim shenim sel aaron hakoin wadavka. Why is it the Chochem could see it and the Chochem knows exactly if it's Tamei Tor? I want to hear what the Chochem says. Chochem tells the Kohen what to say, but if the Chochem says it's Tamei, nothing. It's nothing. Has to be dafke from the Kohen. Why? Yesh loimish. Ina negoyim hey machla medabekes. Negoyim is a machla that's very catchy. It's very easy, Rahman, not to catch that machla. Achamru b'medrash, the medrash says, "Vayikra Rabbi Parsha Tazayin." Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan also leilach b'mizrach Shalom Mitzayir Arba. Rabbi Shlokish Amar Afila Meyama. You're not allowed to walk 4 amas. Social distancing. How far do you have to be? One shit is 4 amas, which ranges from Takev, 6 to 8 feet, whatever. So and Shlokish said 100 amas. So the Gemara says, the Medrash says, when the wind is blowing, it could take the little particles in the air and it could push it towards you. So you have to be away from the Mitzvah 100 amma. That's pretty far. 100 amma is about, again, it could be up to about 200 feet. If there was a chotze that the Matzorah lived in there, and that they had chickens in every chotze, and they sold eggs, he wouldn't eat from those eggs. He was scared. That's how catchy it is. They never went into a movie, even though the Matzorah wasn't there. He was in a chotze that was in that movie. Didn't walk into that movie. Nimtza sheisas because when Matzorah in Mesuk, Matzorah chlazash koch protest nefloa. Ashera oisek yinutzol mazav yenivdal she'elav lo yidbak hanoga. It has to be that the doctor that's dealing, the person that's dealing with the tzara should have a special ashkoch protest that he shouldn't catch it as well. The Torah picked the Bnei Aaron. Why did they pick the Bnei Aaron? Because they have this divine protection that they could deal with the Mitzvah, and they won't chas v'shalom get the machla. So Zok Rav Elyashiv said, Adrabah, fakir dipcha mastabra. Let the doctor who's the Yisrael deal with the non-COVID patients, and the Kohen could deal with the COVID patients, because he has a bigger divine protection. He has a better chance that he will be saved and he won't get sick. Achab, a moiridik achab. Anyway, that's only if you go with by the way, that would only work if you go with the pshat of the Ur Sameach. The Rebbe has the totally different pshat based on what we spoke about Friday, in the message that I sent out. I don't know if you saw it, but maybe if I get a chance tonight, now time is short. But the Rebbe says that the Kohen is Levarach Tam Yisrael Be'av, and the Zohar says if it's not Be'av, it's the Chasakona. He loves every Yid. A Kohen loves every single Yid. There's sometimes we say a person is a kanoi. Tzemach Tzedek says in Derech Mitzasecha, Shaigetz Arams! But really, it's not Kinas Hashem Tzvokas. He has a Achzorius in him. And he likes to hurt people. But what is he going to do? He'll walk over to someone and start screaming, Shaigetz Aros. But now that the guy said a little word, when Gavar la Gavar, by Kriyas HaTorah, don't you know the whole coronavirus is because you're talking middle of Kriyas HaTorah? Get out of the shoulder! Really, it's Dereitem Seburitem in Boich. He has his own problems, Bekitzer. It's nothing to do with the covet of the Rebbeinu Shalom. He has his own problems. And he has his own issues. And he's letting it out, and he's using the Torah to let out his bad midos. He's using the Torah to let out his bad things, his frustrations of bad midos. So therefore you can't, only a koi, even a chochem can't say you're tummy. How can you say to boded yeshem chutz lamachra mashavi? A koyin who's labora, he's the one, because he's going to be very careful, chas v'shalom, that he's never going to mix in his own agenda. He was definitely going to look and try it as much as possible to be metar the yid. The koyin who's isha chesed, who's labora chazam yisrael ba'ava, is going to put in every drop of what he could in order to really make sure that it's done be'ahava and to be metaher the yid as much as possible. Sure. One second. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm back. Okay, so according to the Rebbe's Pshat, obviously this whole Chiddush doesn't work out. A Kohen is a special person that he'll put himself into the shoes of the Yisrael, like Rabbi Yitzchak Bedicheve, the story I told on Friday. There's another story, Rabbi Yitzchak Bedicheve, he went out of shul and he saw there was a Eid, pushed the Eid, and while he was greasing the wheels of his wagon, he was davening, he was trying to, save some time. So he was talis tefillin, and in the meantime he's greasing the wheels of his wagon. So you'd expect that say, chutzpah yankel, shaigetz. So Rabbi Yitzchak smiles, Rabbanim Shem, see, your children, even when they're greasing the wheels of their wagons, they're davening to you. So that's the type of kohen, that's the type of person we need. If he's going to be metama, zaraya, that the person taka needs to do tshuva. But he's going to look for every limit schus in the world. Okay, that's the word of, that's the second question. Third question. Time is short, so we'll just makatz it on this question. It's a Chosh Mishpat question, and someone once asked me this question. He has somewhere in the From neighborhood, he has a building, real estate property, and part of it is a storefront, and so he had. These things are complicated. The bottom line is that he tried. There was a clothing store, from clothing store that opened up. They had a deal. The person came in. The place was a churba. He had a construction crew, put in studs and sheetrock and painted, and made it nice, and lighting and the flooring, so on and so forth, and for racks for capotas and suits. And then the business didn't work out. So the tenant said, okay, he's going to pay for the rest of the contract to the end of whatever it was, a year, 2 years, whatever the contract was. But he wants to deduct something because this place was a churba. There was no floor you could step on. It was a broken up floor. The walls were tzchurev. He put in electricity. He put $20,000 into the place. So the Balachanus, the owner of the property, came to me and he said, "Here, New York State law. I'm not chayiv to give him a nickel or a dime." And the contract that I made with him was pursuant to New York State law. So I told him, if you feel comfortable with that, gesundheit hate. But if you're going to end up going to Bezdin, my friend, you're going to lose. Because unless you make it clear Tanai, otherwise, a Yid with another Yid, a business deal, is not New York State law. Chas v'sholem. A Yid and another Yid, when there's a dispute, we go to the Choshe Mishpat, not New York State law. Obviously, you could make any type of contract. You could stipulate in a contract at Naisha B'Mammon. But to say because you went to Staples and you got a garden variety, or you went you googled the garden variety contract and you signed it, and over there it said pursuant to New York State law, somewhere on page 55, and the bottom in Kleina Oisius, I don't think any Bezdin is going to stand for that. So he said, so what's the Choshe Mishpat? What's the din of Choshe Mishpat? So I told him partially. I told him whatever. I'll show you what I told him. It's a Gebemis Machloikis Rabbi Shmuel Daf in B'Metzid Daf Kufalev. But the bottom line is what we paskin. Pasuk b'Shulchan Aruch Choshe Mishpat Siman Shinayin Hey Sif Aleph. The person without a shoes went into his field of his friend. And he planted it. If it was a field that is usually planted, so how much would a person pay? He has a field. If someone comes and say, you know what, you have an empty field, I can plant it. I'll have you 20 rows of apples. I'll do everything for you. So how much would a person want to pay? If it was the price was good enough, he'll do it, because this is good. It's good income, and this field was made for apple trees. But if this field was not made for apple trees, so still you have to pay. The person that spent the money, he has the lower hand. That whatever is less, if say now the value of the field, if you want to sell it, went up, instead of $1,000, if you sell the field, it's $2,000. So you'd say, oh, the shvach, you give him $1,000. But if he really only spent $500 to plant, you give him only $500. Whatever is less, the itzah or the shvach, you give him the lesser amount. But you can't just tell him, I'm giving you nothing. You can't just tell him. And then there's a lot of protem and dinim in that. If it was with the shus, it's always she might tell you say it. Now in this case, he definitely went into the store with the shus. But this is not a field, this is a building. Okay, so Siv Zayin, how much would a person pay a contractor to do this? Which even a binyan amoil or oil is a chotzak has to be binyan amoil. So now the din in the field is that if the person that owns the field could say, you know what, rip out your trees. I don't want your trees. Take your trees, rip them out, and get out of here. He could do that. But the person that planted the trees can't say, I'm going to rip out the trees, because you're going to rip my field apart. It's not time you taking out a field. So same thing here. If the guy says, you know what, go rip out the studs, rip everything out. He could say that. But I did on the 2 years contract, because the place was a churba. There was no electricity. There was nothing. The place was a churba. The place was an absolute churba. The guy put in $20,000. Now, he could tell him the racks for the suits and the kapotas, take home. What do I need that for? Who says the next customer is going to be a, what's it called? Is going to be a suit store. Maybe the next one is going to be a sheitelmacher. But so maybe it was, she's going to, the sheitelmacher is going to want to have a more feminine type of chandelier. So you can't, the chandelier, you can't charge me for. She's going to pay you, the next customer is going to pay you more because you have electricity. If your next customer is going to come, you have no electric wires, you don't have switches. You don't have studs. You don't have sheetrock. It's not painted. There's no floor. It definitely has to be taken into account. And I don't care what the New York law says. And Kasher Posar Kein Hoya, like I told him it was, he went to Bezdin, and it's exactly what the Bezdin paskin. The Bezdin told him Haknish and Chinik that that no one could. This is a commercial property, and you're renting it out, and the next customer is going to come, and you're going to rent it out to the next customer, and you're going to be able to charge more because there's a normal floor, there's walls, there's electricity, there's a bathroom, there's plumbing. And therefore they forced him to make a pshara with the other guy to deduct some of the money that he invested on the building. Okay. Maybe shall helfen that the schus of the limit of the Torah we learned today, as I said before, that Peretz Tzvi soll sein gesund, and he's definitely Levorach Chazami Yisrael Ba'ava. Peretz Tzvi is Yad Mamish.
Oh man.
Okay.
I could add something?
Sure, please.
So first of all, when we start in the beginning about the nigunim and this time, if you're allowed to hear the music, so somebody's going to go crazy. For him, it's like a medicine.
Yeah.
Medicine and relax them, and they're not going to go crazy. Rabbonim says allowed to. So before the Corona, many years ago, our Malo used to walk from Kornitz to Lubavitch Yeshiva to speak on Yom Tovim when they went to Halacha. So I remember I used to daven in Lubavitch Yeshiva, used to walk to Lubavitch Yeshiva to speak. This is the only time he spoke for half an hour or 20 minutes straight. Usually he speaks for 2 minutes and that's it. For some reason, when he came to Lubavitch Yeshiva, he said, when I was young, I used to be a teacher over here. So I feel free to talk over here. So he was talking 15 minutes, 1 minute. So I remember he was talking about the 9 days that you're not allowed to, the time you're not allowed to eat the music in the sphere. So people came to him and he says, nowadays a cappella music. It looked like a music, but it's not really music. Explain to him how this works, whatever. So he said, meat, you're allowed to eat. Kosher meat, you're allowed to eat. So people say, why not? It's kosher meat. And milk, you're allowed to eat. It's kosher milk. He says, yeah, but together you're allowed to eat it? He says, no. He said, the same thing here with the music. Music you can't hear. It's kosher music, but together, like both of the you're not allowed to eat. The same thing with this music. There was different. What is it called?
Outlook.
But there was this shit. Didn't tell you. It just told you this together that you don't eat.
I'll tell you, I had a good friend in yeshiva, Shimi Shemtiv. So he went to Rabbi Marlo and he asked him if in the Svita you're allowed to listen to Nechoyach, the Lubavitch music. So Rabbi Marlo told him, again, like Rabbi Marlo's style, Rabbi Marlo said, I want to ask you a question. Bread with a Lubavitch Hechsher, are you allowed to eat it on Pesach? Anyway.
And also here, tonight is my father's yahrzeit.
Yeah.
So I wanna share a vote with my father.
Oh. Good. Tell your father's first full name of your father.
Mordechai Tzvi ben Chaim Yosef Shleime. Schus Sogen Aleinu. Tonight is the second yahrzeit. In Israel, it's going to be Gimel year. It's called Yom HaChayal. The soldiers days. So people say my father did not want to die on Dalet because he's scared he's going to celebrate Hey Year. So he was against Zionim. So he did it one day before. But one of his daughter-in-law, my brother's wife, she's a teacher in a school, a non-form school, Bedavka. Yeah. Why? Because she went to school and she learned to be a mora from Misrad HaChinuch. So if let's say you teach in a school from Chabad, they're not going to pay you a certain amount because you have to be a certificate from Misrad HaChinuch. But if you work in a non-religious school as a teacher from Misrad HaChinuch officially, right? They can they'll pay you much more and they can do anything to you. The only problem is she wasn't allowed to teach any Yiddishkeit. In other words, the same class she teach could be a Russian lady that she's a Catholic with a big swastika on her chest, that's allowed to. But she's not allowed to do any Yiddishkeit. Fortunately, she's a Lubavitcher is teaching over there. So she knows she have to do something in like between the lines. It should be kosher, it shouldn't be this. So she was teaching up on Parsha, and how Parsha came to Parsha's Tazria. He went to my father and he said, "You are a teacher for so many years. How I'm going to represent the little kid?" I think it was fourth grade or fifth grade, boys and girls together in a class. I'm going to present them to them the Parsha's Tazria. Not only that, Misrad HaChinuch sent to the class mefakech to sit in the class while she was teaching that. Let's see how she dealing with this. So my father told her, take a little plan like this to the class, put dirt inside, and put a little seed that are growing, right? So you see, like sometimes you go to the flower store, they sell you a little jar with dirt inside and stuff growing. And told the kid, what happens if I take one seed and I put in this what it's going to start growing something. Let's say it's a seed from garinim. You know, the kid love in Israel garinim. What is it called?
Sesame seeds.
Sesame seed. And they love the flower. They look like the sun, etc. Right? So all the kid gonna say is, yeah, that's gonna happen. So what do you say in Hebrew when you put the seed in this plant? You know, it's called zorea, right? So Shitake came to the class like that and prepared the whole this whole idea. And this guy from Misrad HaChinuch sitting over there and he says, how this from a lady gonna tell now the kid about Tazria? Let me see what she's going to do. And Kachavi, she came to class and she had one that already start going, and few empty one. And she called some kid and it says, this seed, you know, is from sesame. This is from watermelon. This is from cantaloupe, right? And put one here. Let's wait another 2-3 days. Let's see how this is going to start going, and we'll go together a bit, etc. And explain to him. She said, this is also the same thing with Tazria. There's a husband and a wife, and then Hashem plant seed in the mother womb, and then coming either a boy or a girl, but you have to wait. You know, in some way, we put the seed now in this jar. We don't see anything. We have to wait. How long do we have to wait? Sometimes maybe 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. My baby is 9 months, but then you see something happen. And the guy from Misrad HaChinuch, after the class finished, went there and he said, such a brilliant idea that you came to class. Who teach you how to do it? So she told him, my father-in-law is a teacher for many years, and they give me the expert in this. She said, just don't tell me this is Tzvi Grimot from Chabad, because many years ago I went to his class.
Wow.
He put me to shame. He said, you work for Misrad HaChinuch? No, you write this, it's the wrong Hebrew, the way to spell it. This, he fixed me, now I fix him.
We have very fond memories of your father, and he spoke, if you remember, he verbrengt in Beis Menachem Mendel by Mincha L'Mayrav once, you remember? And okay, so David shall helfen that zal hom na Aliyas and Hashem and Dikra zal ois poilen bis Mashiach Tzidkenu.
Okay.
Did we speak about Tazria Metzera with the, what's the difference between a boy and a girl? Why the boy you wait 40 days and a girl's 80 days? L'chor, it's not fair.
Right.
We spoke about it last week, or we didn't? I remember.
No, we didn't.
So this I heard from Ashkenazi. His son has a shir. He says something he doesn't understand. Tumbaritare you can understand more or less. Tzara is what we spoke, right? The guy spoke Lashon Hora, his house, but here the lady is giving chayos. The lady is making another boy now or another girl. So instead of being Tomei for 40 days, go buy her flowers. She deserves something much better. Why you punish her 40 days and it's a girl, punish him twice, 80 days? It makes no sense. She's giving chayos to the world, not the opposite. And there's Nekuda was what we spoke, that Take, the Nekuda was by the Arizal, when his teacher passed away, he gave the posuk by the hesped, Odom ki yamut v'talit oto al ha'etz. If a person die and you have no reason why die, so say that because of the tree, which tree? Chetz etzadat. The lady was eating from Chetz etzadat. She had anoy. In order to take the anoy back from the lady to pay back, the Rebbe make that every month she suffer a little bit. She suffer a little bit, right? The second generation, third generation, and every month that she see the whole period again. What happened is she's cleaning the anoy that she has in the first tree. And what happened is when she is having a baby now. What she's doing, she's making another man to have a baby. When she's making a girl born, what she do, she's double. She's giving a life, not just the girl, that this girl gonna have a baby also. So in order to take out the chayus, to make it stronger, by a boy it's enough 40 days. By a girl, because this girl gonna have another girl, so she's begging double chayus.
But I have to be ma'ored, not the 40. The tumah is by a boy is 1 week, and by a girl 2 weeks.
No, the tumah is a week and 2 weeks, but to go to eat in Beis Hamikdash is a tumah. How long you have to wait to eat the tumah?
Okay, fine. But Kol Kodesh Lo Tiga. But like Kol Kodesh Lo Tiga is 40 or 80, yeah.
So basically, like Chassidus says, it's not a negative, it's a positive. Because the girl is so strong that she is going to have another baby. And this I heard from my father. We say by the bris, כשם שנכנס לבריס, כן ניכנס לטבע. We are already benching now by the bris that this baby, when it grow up, he should have a baby also. So this is the Ma'asim Tovim. So we say, but the girl, the Ma'asim Tovim that she born, she already going to have, Bezrat Hashem, another, somebody who have 9 girls, the schut is very, very big. Something is very spiritual and ruchnius.
It's Tiferes, but Tiferes.
Yes, thank you for mentioning it. Today is Tiferes, but Tiferes, Lachatchila Riber.
Right. You're going to read the Hayom Yom?
Sure, Gesundheit. Go ahead.
All right. So, Yom Huledes Es Hazmor, the birthday of my revered grandfather, the Rebbe Maharash, in the year 1833. Once, when he was 7 years old, his father, the Tzemach Tzedek, tested him in his studies. My grandfather answered so well that his teacher became exuberant. Unable to contain himself, he turned to the Tzemach Tzedek. What do you say? Isn't he doing well? The Tzemach Tzedek replied, what is there to be so excited about? When Tiferes Shebet Tiferes does well? The term Tiferes means beauty, and it's actually sort of a combination of Avram and Yitzchak, and it ends up with Yaakov, Tiferes. Tiferes implies the quintessence of that attribute. Beauty is a quality that cannot be captured in words. It leaves one open-mouthed. A work of art, such as the Mona Lisa or others, can be described in terms of colors, contrasts, and the like. But the quality that gives a beautiful masterpiece its appeal is indescribable. This is the difference between the work of a master and that of a copyist. The work of a skilled copyist may resemble a masterpiece in its external details, but it lacks its indefinable neshama. This is an implication of the Kabbalistic concept that Tiferes ascends to the inner dimension of Keser. The Sephira called Keser is the crowning dimension of Getlichkeit, a level transcending any particular definition. Beauty, Tiferes, reveals that unbounded quality within the context of our limited existence. The Kabbalists explain that beauty proceeds from a synthesis of opposite tendencies. To translate that concept in modern terms, from a judicious balance of colors, contrasts, and forms emerges an infinite dimension of the neshama. It is that which motivates the artist, such as Michal Muchnik, to create his work. And this is what he seeks to share with others. The Rebbe Marash, who was born on the day of Tiferes, Shabbat Tiferes, is identified with this attribute. He was the quintessence of this quality. Is it therefore surprising that Tiferes Shabbat Tiferes does well? All right, that's it, and that's pretty heavy stuff there.
Shkoyach. Maybe Rav Maroza will share with us about Tiferes Tiferes.
Pardon?
Maybe Rav Maroza will share with us a story from Tiferes Tiferes with Rabbi Marash.
Yes, a good idea. But why not be mezakeh the klal? So I'll announce it tonight. That after the shir will be a fabrengen for Tiferes Shabbat Tiferes.
Sounds good.
Okay, Shkoyach Godel. Okay, good. Hatzlocha, kol tov.
Amen.
Sure.